clarify it only with that. I'm going to share this with you. Okay, it's the same slide. Now, yeah, please listen to this very attentively, and then if you have doubts, let's get it sorted straight away. What is level 0? The scope of this product is monthly transaction report system. Now, what is it breaking down into? It's breaking down into savings account, current account, card statement, in-house reconciliation module. All, and then further thanks. So I just wanted to complete this and then do your work. That's why I said I'll do it before in the short few minutes. So when we see this monthly transaction report system, here you have got something called savings account system, and then it is broken down by monthly and yearly, and then it's a type of report, right? Single customer report, joint customer report, corporate customer report, so on and so forth. In this diagram, my question to you is this: do you see any action item, any verb? Do this, do that, develop, test, write, create, review? No, thank you very much for that. So all this statement, savings account, so that is one clue for you. When you don't see the action verbs, then it tends to be product deliverable oriented. Now, if you look at monthly transaction report system, savings account and current account, they are parts of the Holisys system. They are product components. If I say monthly transaction report system is the deliverable, is the ultimate product that the project has to deliver, then there are 4 components as you see in level 1, right? The 4 components are savings account statement, current account statement, card statement, in-house reconciliation module. It's a sum of all these 4 product components. It doesn't talk about the work that you do. So this is product breakdown. Now I will have to walk you to the work breakdown structure, work oriented breakdown structure, for you to understand the difference. So let me move to the WBS. If required, we'll come back to this. Now, the scope is same, monthly transaction report system. This is what I said is universal. You start with scope. This is your ultimate project deliverable. Now, if you see the first child of this scope, it's planning. Planning means action verb, right? You have to do planning. It's a work to do. Develop. If you look at it, now I think I have highlighted in red, so now develop design. The develop is telling you what? Some work. Again, develop code. It's work. Initiate. Again, initiate. It's a verb, action item. Test. Do the test. And it starts off with verb. So everything will follow the verb, right? Child or grandchild, they will all follow the action item under planning. It doesn't tell you the parts of the product, whereas this previous slide tells you it's a parts of the product. You see, savings account is one part, current account statement is one part of the product. Now here, if you go to this WBS, they are all parts. They are parts of the work. They are not parts of the product. Planning, develop code, develop design. They are all parts of the work to be done. So you use work as a common starting point here. That's why it's a WBS. If I go back to that previous slide, which is the product breakdown, here you don't see any reference to the work item. They are all product components. That's why this is called product deliverable, product breakdown structure, and this one will be work breakdown structure. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can I get a feedback, please? Thank you. Thank you, Isan. Okay. Rajiv, is it clear to you? Just going around the table randomly? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you, Lina. Thank you, Rajesh. Okay. Thanks for asking that question. I'm sure this has clarified the doubts of many others. Thank you, Rizal. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So, okay, I'm also looking into the time. Let me go through the slides, the schedule related slides. I'm going to share the slides with you in a minute. We open the particular slide chapter. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I opened it. Now let me share it with you. Okay. Now we go into plan schedule management. And again, this is by consensus. I'm assuming everyone is fine for me to cover a schedule. If someone has objection, let me know now. Okay, I get some chat messages. Let me check what can I. Yes, that's fine. Rajesh has a question. Can I use my own words because you want to see the breakdown process? Yes, please your own words. But yeah, please use your own words. Yeah, but meaningful, right? Meaningful to the work item. That's the only guideline I can give you. I'm not saying it is not, but that's the guideline for you to be using that as a sort of baseline. Okay, now I'm into schedule management. I hope you can see the schedule management slide. What is schedule management? Process required for timely completion of the project. Deals with project duration. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Okay, process required for timely completion of the project. It deals with the project duration and the time aspect of delivery of a project's project deliverable. Yeah, presented as distinct processes, but can be done concurrently. Yeah, we'll see that. The schedule management plan sets the format and establishes the criteria for developing and controlling the project schedule. How you will develop the project schedule, what are the tools you will use, what are the procedures you will apply. It's a procedural document which guides the planning team on the way forward in dealing with the various other processes under schedule management, like define activities, sequence activities, develop project schedule. This in summary is schedule management. Again, as I said, we will not get into the nuts and bolts level. I broadly, very high level, tell you what happens here. Plan schedule management, as we said, it deals with the output is a schedule management plan, and it will contain all the procedural aspects, all the procedures to be followed by the project team in dealing with schedule. That one line should suffice. Now, define activities. Now, what happens define activities is, let me go into the schedule. Okay, this one doesn't have pictorial diagram. I got one. You know the WBS, right? Let me share the WBS. You saw the WBS. So in the WBS, wait. In the WBS, yes, yes, schedule management and time management are one and the same. In version 4, I think even version 5, PMI called it as time management. Then they changed it to schedule management, which is probably a more professional approach. Now, schedule. Now, the question is, are you saying the schedule translates into action? Can you clarify the question, please? Action as in what? You mean the project related work? Schedule, let me explain because I am not getting a feedback. Schedule is that part of the project planning when you decide how much time you need for delivering this product. Your sponsor can tell you, hey, I want it in 2 months. But you can't deliver in 2 months, but it has to take 3 months, let us say. You will do a detailed exercise, and this schedule management, plan schedule management, till this sequence activities, develop schedule 6.5. 6.5 will tell you it needs 3 months. So you have to go to the sponsor and tell him, sir, you want it to be delivered in 2 months, but this is the exercise our team has done. We need 3 months at the minimum. Even if the project sponsor says, add more people. Add more people sometimes may not speed up the work beyond a point. In some cases it could, in some cases if there is a mandatory dependency. For example, let's go back to the painting example, 4 activities I said. Buy paint, scrap wall, apply primer, apply final coat. The scrapping the wall, if it takes 1 day, it takes 1 day. Putting 2 people on the job, will it speed up? The nature of the activity, does it allow? If it allows, then it can be speeded up. But there are some works which need to be done. I can put more people on construction of the wall in a condominium. How fast can it be? You have to lay brick by brick by brick, right? Maybe instead of 1 person doing, 2 people can do it. That could be risk because 2 people are doing overlap, clash, different approach, nature of activity. Yes, the schedule is a very detailed document which talks about how the project will pan over a time perspective. From the start of the project to the end of the project, what is the kind of time duration that is required. This is done after the scope is done. In scope, you will define scope and create WBS. Remember that. In schedule, you use the WBS as an input. And where does it tell you this? Okay, this tells you as project management plan. Okay, very high level. This project management plan, the key component in this will be WBS. WBS stops at a work package level. Now, work package can be further decomposed, broken down into a lower level or a child level work item, which is called the activity. So, to generate a list of activities, you need to have the WBS. So, before you can proceed with schedule, you have to do the scope. Okay, activity list is the main output of defined activities. Then remember, again going back to the same painting example, there are 4 activities: buy paint, scrap the wall, apply primer, apply final coat. Each one takes 1 day. If I do it sequentially, first day I may buy the paint, second day I may do the scrapping the wall, third day apply primer, fourth day I may do the finish coat, final coat. So it would take 4 days. The project duration becomes 4 days. But always the project manager's responsibility is to give it in the shortest duration. He will try to see whether we can give it in shorter duration. So what will he do? He will look at the nature of the activities. Oh, can I do two activities in parallel simultaneously? Or in this painting example, you can do, right? You can send one of your staff to buy the paint, one of the staff to do the scrapping of the wall. So on day 1, you would have completed 2 activities. Day 2, you will put the primer. Day 3, you will put the final coat. So your duration, instead of 4 days, now has become 3 days. Oh, this is the purpose of schedule management, and in particular sequence activities. You will say which one comes one after the other, which one goes side by side or in parallel, simultaneously, depending on the nature of the activity. Once you are done sequence activities, you will go into estimate activity duration. what is the kind of duration at an activity level. If you put sum total of the activity duration, you will get an indication of the project duration. You estimate it at an activity level and then sum it up, that will give you the project level time duration. Please stop me if something is unclear, kindly stop me then and there. Now develop schedule. Once you have done the estimate activity duration, the schedule, what is schedule? Schedule is the project plan. Generally people use Microsoft project, they have this Gantt chart where you would have seen the start date to end date and some thick bars which are showing milestones. Like that graphical, and the schedule can be graphically represented along timelines, right? Timeline is generally on the x-axis and the work items are generally described on the y-axis. That's a visual representation of a developed schedule, which is project plan. Now, these are all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are all planning activities. There is no execution activity in schedule. There is only monitoring and control, which is control schedule. And what is control schedule? Every month, every frequently, you will look at the performance of your project from a time perspective, from a schedule perspective. Let's say you decided to do 10% of your project deliverable in month 1. The work plan is 10% of the work. But end of month 1, you see that you have done only 8% of the work. What does it tell you? It tells you there is a schedule slippage. That means you are behind schedule. If you are behind schedule, what is the job responsibility of the project manager? He will get his team together, discuss and say, hey, how can we speed up for the lost time in the month 1? So they will try to accommodate this lost time by speeding up the work in month 2 or maybe month 2 and month 3, depending again on the nature of the activity. So that is a corrective action they take, correct? We know there is schedule slippage. Now what does the project team have to do? They have to take corrective action. What is corrective action? Maybe they will review how some things can be done faster. They will see whether they can put more people in month 2 or month 3. Again, everything depends on the nature of the activity, right? Can 2 people write the same code? They cannot. Right? Code is to be written by generally one person. Maybe another person can write a module if the specifications are very clear. Again, that's why I say nature of the activity. But one code, only one programmer can write. 2 programmers can't write one code. It becomes inefficient and there will be a lot of errors because it's an intellectual piece of job. Okay, this is an overview of the schedule. Now let me move on. And what is the most important aspect of schedule, which you also have in your assignment? I'm going with an assignment focus now. So yeah, this is the assignment focus. Now this is called a schedule network diagram. What are the alphabets A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H and all representing? They all represent one or another activity. It could be, A could be something like define scope. B could be like develop project schedule. Do you see that? C could be do risk management, come out with identify risk. I'm just giving you randomly, okay? D could be plan risk response. C could be identify risk. D could be plan response. Why do I say that? Because the arrow tells you that D can start only when C is completed. I can't do electrical work till the walls are raised. I can't do apply primer paint if I didn't scrap the wall. So C will be scrapping the wall of the existing paint, D will be applying the primer, and E could be applying the finished coat or final coat. So this is the sequence of activities. They can't be done in parallel. C, D, E, this diagram tells you that activity C, whatever it is, activity D and E cannot be done in parallel. They cannot be done simultaneously. C has to complete for D to work on D to be able to be started. For example, I hope you can relate to this. Let's say C is develop code, write code, programming code. Once you do C develop code, if D is tests the code, can you test the code before the code is completed? Cannot. So you have to complete C, which is write code, and then you have to go to D, which is test the code. Maybe E could be UAT, user acceptance testing. Once you have done the internal test, then you may want to throw open the system to the users for doing an UAT, user acceptance test. User acceptance test is done before the product is rolled out to the production environment. I'm just assuming some of you don't know that application software series sequences, so I'm just giving you that. So I get a question, is this any problem here for H before F and G? No, before F can start, H has to complete. That's what this diagram tells. No. Don't worry about the ABCD aspect. Think of them as some names. Okay, I see what you say, E, F, G, H. Maybe this is a typo, I don't know. Yeah, it could be. I get what your doubt is very clearly. Why is it not coming in an order? Why did they not put H after F and G? Very good, but don't read too much into this. They are only symbolic representations of actual work to do. Let's assume here is H is here, dig, excavate earth. If you are doing the construction work, thanks for that confirmation. If you are doing excavation, soil excavation is what is H. Maybe then build the foundation F, G is construct the walls, something like that. It's mandatory in nature, very good doubt. I don't know why, probably the person who designed this did a typo. Yeah. He could have put FGH for all that. Yeah, completely agree with you. So this is called a schedule network diagram. Okay. Now there are estimation techniques. How do you estimate?
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just now the slide. Can you explain the L to J part?
Can. L to J, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good point. Now, if you look at, let's start with J, yeah? Somewhere we have to start, so let me start with J. J, if you look, it is dependent on I to complete. And but this symbol L from L, it's not going as an input, but if you see, that's why I see your question, right? Very good question. Is that L is pointing towards a completion of J, and this is called a finish to finish relationship. What it means is that J and L should simultaneously complete. And when that can be, I'll give you an example for this. It depends on the nature of the activity. I will define a few activities as an example for you to better understand what is this finish to finish relationship. Let's assume we have a running race. Okay, I'm giving you common examples for you to be able to easily relate to the concept. This finish to finish is slightly an abstract concept, or it may not be easy generally to comprehend. That's why I'm giving you a very practical example of a running race. Let's say in a running race, there are several activities in a running race. One is the runners must line up. Lining up of runners, one activity. There must be someone who will flag the race on, someone who says start, ready, steady, go, or whatever, or just fire a pistol shot or a flag, green flag, whatever. So one is lineup, the runners lineup is one activity. Then start of the race is another activity. Then people run, runners run. Then you have the finish line. Now people, whoever comes first has to touch the ribbon. Let's say that is a condition. There's a finish line ribbon. Someone has to touch the ribbon. That's a condition of the race, let's assume. So when these runners run, the moment, let's say the rules of the running, this running competition is that the moment anyone touches the ribbon, finish line ribbon, the race is finished. They don't care about second runner or third runner up. There's only one winner. Whoever touches the ribbon, the race is completed. If that, these are the activities. Now you, for the race to finish, for J to finish, let's assume J is the race, the completion of the race. For race to complete, one of the runners, L, must finish touching the ribbon. So there are two activities in parallel. The runner is touching the ribbon, finish line ribbon, and the race gets finished. It's a complex topic, complex concept. I hope you can understand. Then if I'm going too much, then do you understand this? Okay, let me ask that. It's a good question. It's a finish to finish relationship. Okay, you can understand. Thank you very much for that. Now I have a few more chat messages. Let me see what they are. Okay, J has to, so this is the message I got. I'm reading it out. J has to wait for I. J has to wait. Yes, J has to wait for I to complete. J cannot start till I completes. That's a correct statement. K and L completed first. Yes, K and L are completed. L will wait for K to complete. Once K completes, then L can start and L can complete. And then go to the end. And J is the end result. Yes, J is not the end result because there's no direct arrow. End is the end result. So J, L and J together need to complete. That is, the race has to complete. The finishing of the race and finishing of touching the ribbon are two activities which needs to simultaneously happen. The nature of the activity. So this is a complex concept. So my request would be, if it's not easily understandable.
So sir, excuse me sir, so sorry to interrupt, so
go ahead, Rajiv.
So the keyword here is simultaneously, L and J has to, so
yes.
It's finish to finish relationship.
Finish simultaneously. You said simultaneously, yes, that's correct, but you have to add the word finish simultaneously. Finish in front. They have to finish in simultaneously.
Finish.
Simultaneously is correct, absolutely correct, but qualify it in the word finish in front of it.
I see. Okay. Thanks, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. It is a slightly abstract concept. I know. Then sometimes I am required to give 3, 4, 5 examples to just explain, because sometimes people, especially when I do the PMP, the 35 hours PMP course, people take the exam, they also find it difficult to understand that.
Yeah, correct.
Because one has to remember that it is the nature of the activity that will define this relationship. So J and J is not the end result. J and L are combinedly the end result of that branch, those two branches. Yes. Yes, we can say yes, end result of the processes that start from HK and I. Yeah. Okay. Now, see. So understand, this is the complexity of project management. If you compare it with the previous modules, I don't know how light they were, or how more maybe you are more technically savvy, and the topics that were covered, you were hands-on, you had experience, so you could relate to it. Maybe project management is new for many of you, and you may find it as a challenge. Some of you may find it as a challenge. The only antidote, the only way we can together win over it is you trying to understand, and if you don't understand, ask me to explain once, twice, thrice, I'm happy to explain. Okay, this is a network diagram, and that is how these activities are actually mapped on a diagram. Now there is one more complex aspect which will follow, which will be critical path diagram. Let me look at this, right? So I have to cover, give me a minute. We have a scheduled class on Monday, 5th class. Okay. I'm thinking I should reserve, this is a bit intense topic, backward pass, forward pass. Again, let me know, let me see if there are assignments in forward pass and backward pass. I don't think. If you want me not to cover it, I'm fine with it. Let me quickly run through the assignment, because after you all explained what you said today, right? So I'm just thinking, I don't want to overwhelm you with some aspects, especially if there is no assignment for it. I will leave it to you to make a call whether you want me to cover or not. I'm fine to cover it. As I said, this is an exhaustive subject. Just thinking, assignment 3 is, yeah, assignment 3 is sequencing. Yeah, so no, there is an assignment 3. So I'll cover it on Monday. Is that okay? Because I don't think I can complete that in half an hour's time that we have left. If you want me to continue in the afternoon, I'm fine with continuing. It's your call. I want you guys to be in control so that you are comfortable. Sorry, you may temporarily you will see my screen blocked off because I try to navigate to the other slides that I have, which could be a PowerPoint or which could be an Excel file just to see the schedule. So we were here on this slide. Now, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go ahead and cover the forward pass and backward pass? It will be slightly, it will need some attention. Yeah, it will need some attention. You know, it's not as easy as you see this slide. I think I will give you a more user-friendly slide that will cover it much more user-friendly manner. Okay, maybe, yeah, okay, no, forward pass, then continue. No, I have to do both forward pass and backward pass together because they are same subject, same topic, and they are integrated topics. This is in response to Xianmeng, correct? I'm right? Hope I got this. Xianmeng, yeah, okay. I think I got it right first time. Yeah, okay. We'll do it on Monday. If anyone wants me to do it now, I will have to do both. Given that it's only another 27 minutes into the session, it will require a little more time. And I want you to be able to understand it. So there will be questions, there will be interactions. That's right. This is the most important part of this schedule management, where we look at float and critical path. Of course, forward pass, backward pass, and then the critical path. These 3 slides, it will require a good 20 minutes to explain. And we could give some allowance for any questions that may come from all of you. I want to know your comfort level. If you, as you said, you don't have time, you want to, page 246 to 249, that's correct, yes. Yeah, I will have to explain it to you. You will need my inputs. Once I do that, then it maybe your second browsing through that, you can probably understand it better.
So how about a brief summary? I mean, not too detailed. How does the rest think about that?
Okay, I can give a brief summary, not an issue. Yeah. Okay, let me give you a brief summary. That's a good approach. Now, go to this slide. Now, okay, let's see what is a. Now, if you look at it here, we are in schedule, okay? Define activities is part of schedule. So here you see work packages from WBS. That means it is coming from the previous knowledge area called scope. Correct? In scope, we said define scope and create WBS. So the WBS from a scope is taken and is further decomposed. Decomposed means broken down into work items called activities. The work items are called activities to complete the work package. That is, work package is broken down into activities. The child of a work package will be called activities in simple terms. And when do we create a child of every work package? In scope, we stopped at the work package level. So when you do schedule, you will take the work breakdown structure which was completed in scope and then break it down further. That means you are adding furthermore boxes underneath each work package to see if you can break it down. Sometimes you can break it down, sometimes you may not be able to break it down. Again, depends on the nature of the activity to complete the work. Activities forms the basis for estimating scheduling project work. So if you want to do a project schedule, which is project duration, time duration, you must have a list of activities. Your activities are the building blocks for generating a schedule diagram. Activity list. What is activity list? A comprehensive list of all activities required. They are all child or grandchild of work packages. In sufficient detail to ensure project management team understand work required to be completed. You look at the definition here, work. It's not product component. That is why when you are asking WBS, I said always try to do a work breakdown structure, not a product deliverable breakdown structure, because you are going to use it in schedule also. This is from a project management perspective. From an academic perspective, if you want to choose to give a product deliverable oriented breakdown, that's fine with me. So understand the significance. Now, activity attributes include activity. Every activity will have a unique ID, activity identifier. Of course, the work package system WBS will already give a WBS ID. Now, the activity, which is a child of a work package, will also get an ID number, unique identifier number, so that in a project with million activities, there can be confusion and chaos. You want to preempt any confusion and chaos by clearly ordering every activity with a unique number. It's a unique number. That number cannot be repeated. And activity level, of course, name or description of that activity level. Okay, it tells you what is a predecessor activity. What is a predecessor activity? Now let me tell you. I'll go back to that simple example of painting. I paint, scrap wall, apply primer, apply final coat. Now, can apply final code start off just like that, or does it wait for some other activity to complete? It must wait for the primer code to be completed. So priming activity becomes a predecessor. In a running race, can a running start off? Can the organizer whistle off the race? What is the predecessor? Runners must line up. If the runners didn't line up, the race cannot start. Cannot be flagged off. So, if I call flagging off as start of race as one activity, the predecessor to that activity will be runners must line up. Before runners line up, we could have a predecessor called announce. Someone must announce, right? This 4 by 400 relay is starting, please line up. That announcement could be a predecessor activity. Predecessor means that predecessor activity is before this activity. The predecessor activity needs to be completed. If you are in a software environment, if you are in a hardware environment, let me give you a hardware example. Can I install the OS into a server, new server, when the server has not come? So the predecessor to installing the OS is the server must have been acquired or must have been delivered by the vendor. So that is a predecessor activity. By a same logic, the successor activity is the activity which follows your current activity. If I am writing a code programming code, the successor will be testing or code review, whichever you call it. Both are similar, right? If I am doing, if I am constructing a wall, painting will be a successor activity. I can't paint before the wall is completed. So you have to be able to relate predecessor and successor activity. Logical relationships, leads and lags, I will skip it for now unless you want me to do, but this is again a bit very in depth. Milestone list of all milestones. What is a milestone? Milestone is a key event in the life of a project. Let me give you an analogy in a human's life. What are the key milestones in a human's life? Birth, death. These are the two key milestones in everyone's life. No one can skip this. One has to be born, one will die. In between, do you want to add more milestones? Yes. Completion of schooling, completion of degree, starting of work, getting married and setting up family. These all could be milestones. That is, the number of milestones depends on the choice of the project team and the sponsor. There is no hard and fast rule that you must have X number of milestones or Y number of milestones. It depends on how they want to measure the progress of a milestone. Basically tells you, look, okay, this stage is completed, now next stage we have gone into it. Now, in sequence activities, what does it tell you? As the painting example I gave you, this one will not tell you, right? This is called an activity on node diagram. Why it is called activity on node? All these 3.4, what are they? They are activity identifiers. Remember the IC number I said? Unique identifier for every activity. Here they have not given the activity label. That is their choice. They could have given the activity label. For example, they could have said write code, design code, or install OS, test the server, connect it to the network, wireless network. All these could have been activities, but here the slide chose to put unique identifier as the activity descriptor. Now, this is an activity, this is an activity. Each one is an activity represented by its activity identifier. It could also be replaced with activity label, which is name of the activity. And S tells you its start and E tells you its end. And it's called an activity on node diagram because this activity 3.4 sits within a node which is represented by a triangle. Oh, sorry, rectangle, rectangle. 3.4 sits within the rectangle, so it represents the activity within that node. That's why it's called activity on node diagram. So what is an AON diagram? An AON diagram is a schedule diagram where the activities are represented within a node. Node means rectangle. Remember it as rectangle. That's all. Now finish to start. Remember we were asking just someone was asking me. This is the finish to finish dependency. Start to start. A has to start for, they can simultaneously start. That's what it says. One has to start to finish. Again, we will not get into too much. Yeah, start to finish. Unless you want me to specifically. Yeah. So it's before and after. Yes, predecessor is before, successor is after. If that's what is your question, Ishan. Now, okay, this is easy to understand. I will explain it to you. What is a mandatory dependency? There are dependencies. Dependency for what? Dependency for activities. And there are four major types of dependencies. One is mandatory dependency. The word mandatory tells you that it must happen. There is a must kind of word in the relationship. You runners must line up for the flagging to start. Race. So there is a mandatory dependency. I cannot start electrical wiring till the wall is completed. So there is a mandatory dependency between these two activities, electrical installation and construction of wall. Wall has to complete for electrical work to be done. Now discretionary dependency. What is discretionary dependency? Remember the painting example. We had 4 activities. I could buy paint. Simultaneously, I could start scrapping the wall of its existing paint. These are 2 different activities, but they can be done in parallel. There is no mandatory dependency that one should complete for the other to start. Both could start simultaneously. That's why it's called discretionary dependency. And the discretion is given to the project manager to sequence it. Where all this will apply will be the sequencing. That is why we have to learn about mandatory dependency. If there is a mandatory dependency, now you let me go to the diagram. Now if you look at this diagram, B is mandatorily dependent on A to complete. That is why that mandatory dependency gets represented in an arrow like this. Now if you look at A and H, for example, A and H and K can all start simultaneously. That means there is a discretionary dependency between A and H and K or H and K. That is where the mandatory and discretionary dependency will come. External dependency depends on non-project activities. If you are ordering a server, you are at the mercy of the vendor. The vendor will say, I'll deliver to you in 30 days. What if he or she didn't deliver in 30 days? So you are depending on someone external to the project for your work to proceed, right? You can't do your installation work till the server comes up. Internal dependencies inside the project team's control. Let's say there's a dependency between, okay, you are installing a hardware, you installed a server and you installed the OS. Now you want to install the database. Or for the database, you will look to the database administrator to install it, because there could be some setting related nuances which a general hardware technician may or may not know. Let's assume he doesn't know. Hardware person knows only server, OS and other things. A database, Oracle database or SQL database, he is a specialist. He knows what are the settings to be done. So you will wait for him. So this is an internal. They both are in the same project team, but this is an internal dependency. Lead is the duration a successor activity can start before predecessor finishes. It just in layman terms is a buffer. Successor activity can start before the predecessor finishes. And lag, if an activity gets delayed, the successor activity also gets delayed by an identical amount of time. That's why the lag. Leads and lags are concepts again used in schedule network technique. Now, this is a schedule network diagram, and we will cover, then we will have to cover, I think we'll do it on Monday, yeah, because you wanted this afternoon for yourself to do your assignments. If you feel you have done your assignment and you have time, we can also cover forward pass and backward pass and critical path. We might take about 20-25 minutes to cover these 3-4 slides. They are important slides. There is also an assignment that follows, so you have to pay complete attention to that. Let's target Monday morning to do that. If we can't, if we are unable to cover it in the afternoon session. Okay. Any questions? Can I stop here? Any questions on what we have covered?